This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Paul. Welcome in to the Triple Option. See, somebody unplugged Smokey's headset, so I couldn't hear.
Yes.
It's 2 days in a row where that's happened. So I didn't know when to come in. And I was just looking here because we have conflicting news to start the show, Garrett.
Okay.
Pete Thamel says that Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers has yet to decide on whether to declare for the NFL draft. There have been early conversation about a potential return to Texas, but there's a long way to go. But On3.com is reporting that he's expected to return, which is maybe kind of saying the same thing, but early on, and I know there's a lot we got to talk about. Like this week, there could be really chaos in the Big 12 and all that. But this is a really interesting story when it comes to college football and the modern way college football is done. Because Malik Murphy went undefeated in his starts, did he not?
Yes, he did.
He looked okay. I mean, he looked like a guy who had made his first couple starts, but still a guy with a lot of potential.
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, that's exactly what you would expect from a guy like Malik who – he's got a lot of – you've seen it when he was being recruited. He was a five-star for a reason. Most people want him for a reason, and it's going to take time to adjust on the fly, especially when you get thrown in when you did. Yeah, I think he handled himself well.
Yeah, so now if Quinn Ewers is coming back –
Correct.
And he's probably not going to make the wrong decision either way financially because he's going to make money. Whether he is, I'm not convinced he's NFL ready. I would need more, and this is just Paul Catalina, GM of the fictional team to be named later, that needs a quarterback. I would need to see more starts. I'm very much in the you better be pretty amazing in your 14 starts or 18 starts to me for me to say, yes, I want you to be the quarterback. Because I do think more often than not, the guys that have one good year and get drafted high are the busts.
I look at it in two different ways. I think, first off, I agree with you that he needs to develop more and be better in in-game situations. And then secondly, and I think this is more – I view it as more important, is I feel like he needs to show that he can compete through a full season and stay healthy. Because going back to high school, that's something he has struggled with. I mean, it's really been, his junior year in high school is the last time he played a full season healthy. He's now, his sophomore year in college, which is third season. I know he didn't play at Ohio State. But he's getting banged up every single year. And he doesn't look like the guy when he's playing. Well, you can see he's really good. I'm not trying to say he's not very good. But he was talked about like he was going to come out like Joe Burrow or something. And that just hasn't been the case. We haven't seen that. We've seen flashes of it. But I think he needs to show that he can stay healthy for a full year, and I think he needs to show significant progression next year. And I think if he can do that while they go in and make the transition into the SEC, that would bode well for his stock to rise in the following year's draft.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that he needs to prove he can make it through the year healthy. He can do all these things. It's 2 years in a row he's hurt, and he's hurt his shoulder both years. Collarbone, shoulder, that's what he's done. I think he's going to be an NFL quarterback. I think he has all the makings of an NFL quarterback. I just think that it's probably better. Now the bigger issue is what do you do with the logjam at quarterback at Texas now? They're not like before anybody starts. They're not losing Arch Manning.
No,
this doesn't really change anything to me because there was no guarantee Arch Manning was going to be the starter next year anyway, even if Quinn left and Malik Murphy won the job. I would think that your chance of Arch Manning leave would when he be a redshirt sophomore.
Yeah, I think, honestly, going into it, I think Malik Murphy's going to transfer. And I think you're going to bring in Trey Owens. Trey Owens will be your third at Cy-Fair. He's going to be your third-string quarterback. Yeah. It'll be Quinn. It'll be Arch. It'll be Trey. Arch will have more time to develop in the system. He'll get more game reps, obviously. I think you might see him in situations. He might get about the same as Malik. And obviously you don't want him to get the same as Malik because Malik got as many reps as he did because of the injury. But you're going to be able to work him into the rotation more. And I think it would help his development. But, yeah, I think you're going to see Malik Murphy hit the transfer portal. Somebody is going to get a great quarterback in Malik. He's going to go on and be successful, and I don't think it really hinders the Texas quarterback room as a whole. And I think when you look at the skill sets and the similarities between what you have currently in Quinn, what Arch is supposed to be, and that's another thing. Like Arch Manning played some pretty lackluster competition in high school. So I think that we really need to see and kind of hinder expectations of what he can be and put a realistic expectation on it and not just look at the last name. I think there's going to be a learning curve for him.
Yeah.
And then Trey Owens, I think, kind of fits the same build as he comes in, somebody who's going to need time to develop, but they all have a very similar skill set. And I think Malik Murphy goes somewhere and makes somebody very happy next year as their starting quarterback.
Yeah, I absolutely think I think that they have – I mean, look, they've got an embarrassment of riches,
yeah.
No matter what happens. So they're going to be all right. But I think that, like, it's just kind of – it's kind of strange because I thought that at the beginning of the year, if Quinn Ewers is going to the NFL, that means everything went perfectly for Texas.
Correct.
And it's not gone perfectly, but it's not gone bad. I mean, but he still needs some time. I haven't seen, like, he's made some big throws, but with Jonathan Brooks out now, is there going to be a game where he can throw them to a win? Because he still hasn't really had to do that.
No. I think your best option for that is going to be this week in Iowa State. When you go up there, you're going to have to throw them to a win. I think the Texas Tech game in Austin, the final game of the season, I don't think that necessarily – I think the way they could dominate in the trenches in that game, they could take care of business. But I think going into Iowa State this next week, it's always difficult to go into Ames. It's nighttime. It's your final trip up there, and it's your first game without Jonathan Brooks. Yeah. So I think that right there is where you could find yourself in a situation where Quinn has to throw you to a win in that one. But I don't think the following week against Texas Tech that necessarily that would be the game he has to throw you to a dub.
Here's the other thing. Like, when I saw it was from inside Texas, and I'm not knocking inside Texas, but it did seem to be like they're trying to will this into existence.
Correct.
A little bit, in that, like, he still has 3 to 5 games to play. I mean, like, they've got 2 games, then probably the Big 12 championship,
right?
Then a bowl game, and perhaps that bowl game could be the CFP, game. I mean, like, they still have the opportunity. So if you're telling me if in the next 5 games Quinn Ewers takes that next step, and all of a sudden people start buzzing about him, then he's gonna stay at Texas.
No.
Here's what I do think, though, that happened is that we've seen our first round of, like, the experts in the draft rankings.
Correct.
And he was in the middle of the pack when it came to the quarterbacks. So coming back for a year probably makes more sense, because when you take, and this is not even just like the highest ranked guys, Caleb Williams and Drake May and J.J. McCarthy are the top 3. But then when you take Penix out of that, Nix out of that, Jordan Travis out of the equation,
Jaden Daniels,
probably Shadur Sanders, maybe Shadur Sanders, those guys out of the equation completely, then all of a sudden you're left next year with, okay, who are going to be your number 1 quarterbacks coming out in 2025?
Right.
Then that's probably Quinn Ewers. And that's, I don't even know after Quinn Ewers.
Exactly.
You've got a whole bunch of unknowns. Like, maybe Shadur Sanders if he came back. So
I think Shadur will come back. Honestly, I think that's something they'll kind of look at the situation. But no, it's a totally different situation for Quinn, because we've seen Caleb Williams is a prime example of a guy who could have been arguably the first overall pick last year, made the decision to come back, and it has hindered him. Like, it was the worst decision, and we've seen that happen pretty often with players, but especially quarterbacks, where you wait that one extra time coming back. People get more film on you. Somebody else rises that's better, and you kind of get lost in the shuffle where you should have went out a year ahead. But with Quinn getting the evaluation, like, if he goes right now, if he goes this year, I don't realistically see him getting drafted till at least the 3rd round.
Yeah,
there's only progress unless barring another injury next year. I think there's more room for him to benefit from coming back than there is from him not coming back next season.
So let me go through. This is just 3 or 4 different sites. Okay, The Athletic, let's see, 1, 2, has him in tier 2 as a first-round pick, though. Dane Brugler had him there. So, I don't know. I mean, like, and Dane is somebody I respect immensely. So
I feel like it's.
Was that Dane Brugler that had that?
I just feel like it's too much
Nick
of a risk.
Baumgartner, that's a different guy. So.
I mean, you're more of the draft guy. You're more am I overblowing that it's a risk to take him with his injury history and everything? Like, am I miss?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I've got a side here. It's got him ranked 9th out of 10, so that has people like Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels and J.J. McCarthy and Caleb Williams in front of him. Let's see. Pro Football Focus, for whatever that's worth, has Quinn Ewers ranked 10th.
Yeah.
So it's all over the board, but a quarterback is the position that gets overrated the most.
Right.
Right. So if you're desperate for a quarterback, which many teams are, if you see the things you want to see, like you can ignore things. And look, Quinn Ewers has an arm like most people don't. I mean, he is really talented there. I do think it would be best for him to come back for a year.
I do too.
Yeah. I don't know if that's what he will do. It does seem like part of this is the Texas people trying to will this into existence. And I don't think he's ready to be in the NFL. And I think there's a good chance that part of it is you have to look at the logo and not the logo in the same kind of way.
Correct.
So who is Quinn Ewers? Like, who is Quinn Ewers when he doesn't have Xavier Worthy and Adonai Mitchell and Jatavian Sanders and Jonathan Brooks? Can he make?
He's Sam Hartman.
If you put
in that
him
situation,
if you switch Sam Hartman and Quinn Ewers, would Texas still be the same?
Yes.
Right now. Yeah, probably a little bit. Like, there's probably not much of that. But, like, if you switched Quinn Ewers and Caleb Williams, like, what would Caleb Williams be doing with this roster? What would Drake May be doing with this roster?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's not to say that Quinn Ewers can't ever do that. It's just, as it stands, in the year of our Lord 2023, he's not doing that.
No. But I don't think that's a slight on him anyway. I think he's going to be fine. I think he is going to be – I don't ever think he's going to go into the NFL and just blow the doors open and be a star. I think he's going to be a guy who is a journeyman quarterback who has a few years, probably 2 or 3 years of that first contract. And I think I don't even see him going into a situation where he would start from the jump. I think he would have to work his way in. And then I think he would be kind of like a Chase Daniels or something where he has a – or Colt McCoy. He's got a long, successful career in the NFL as a backup. He comes in, he'll start some seasons as well. But I don't ever see him being like the guy that takes over an NFL franchise and leads them to the promised land.
I think he's very efficient. I think that he's shown that. I'm stopping at spectacular because I think there's really only 2 or 3 guys that are spectacular. Mm-hmm. I think Drake May and Caleb Williams are absolutely dudes that you really need to look at as far as what their skill set are. I think Jaden Daniels in the modern NFL could be interesting.
Yeah, but he would have to go to the right situation.
He's got to go to the right situation.
He's so like his body, man, he puts it on the line way too much.
I think a guy like Penix is going to be interesting. Nix is going to be interesting, but all 3 of those guys to me are in the same group of, they can probably make some things happen in the NFL, but if you all of a sudden if you just threw Bo Nix onto the Bears right now, he's not going to change the Bears like Caleb Williams or Drake May might.
Right.
If Michael Penix is the Giants quarterback, that's to me trending upward, but you still got to maybe see
there's a cap on your limitations of where you're going to get with it in that situation.
But if you put, Michael Penix behind Brock Purdy for a couple years of an efficient, an organization like the 49ers to let him develop, then Michael Penix should wind up being pretty good.
I think, any of those would go in that scenario. Yeah, I think they would be fine with San Francisco.
So, that's, if you put, just pick a spot where there's a veteran quarterback, like the Jets. If you were going to develop one of those guys behind Aaron Rodgers for a couple years, I think that would be fine. I think Jordan Travis is going to be an NFL player for a little bit, but I don't think he's going to be
He's not going to be there long. No,
he's not going to be a for sure starter. He could be a backup forever and come in and the backup's out. Jordan Travis does some crazy good things, but let's be real. You're probably not going to he's probably not an NFL quarterback forever.
No, I mean he would. I think he could do very similar things to what Josh Dobbs is doing in Minnesota. He could come in, be serviceable, you know, a guy that you could rely on for a while, but you can't rely on him for so long.
But yeah, Quinn Ewers, the comp I see for him right now is Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, but you know what? It was funny that you were saying that because I was thinking Sam Howell, like there's some, like in the situation there, like if he went to the wrong situation. But no, I think Kirk Cousins is pretty spot on because Kirk's good. He's over, like he gets looked at and people crap on what he's been able to do, but he can win you a lot of freaking football games.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he can. I think that, you know, and the thing is that sometimes – you know, the Vikings were just starting to do it, and then they've been ravaged by injuries, not only him, but, like, you build around. So if you're Quinn Ewers, if you went to the right situation, eventually I think you'd be pretty good.
Tannehill. He would be like a Ryan Tannehill type thing, too.
Yeah. Probably a little bit more consistent than Ryan Tannehill is. But also Ryan Tannehill's problem is that he spent most of his career
as a receiver.
Like, well, being injured and all that. Yeah, he's like that's one of the reasons he wasn't a great starting quarterback early on because he only had that, like, year and a half of starting after – you know, the A&M starting quarterback curse hit Gerard Johnson, you know? And so then you look at that and you're like, okay, well, he was a wide receiver and the backup quarterback, and then he had a really good senior season. He got drafted in the first round. And I wouldn't say he's lived up to being a first-round quarterback, especially as high as he was drafted.
I think he's definitely over-exceeded expectations.
But I do think that he's lived up to being, like, he and Geno Smith, to me, have, like, lived up to being second-round quarterbacks. I think that's what Quinn Ewers, like, he's in that realm to me right now. But another year under the belt of, like, watching him grow, then I could probably change my mind. But if where you are now and then you go and you wind up starting someplace that's not very good,
right,
then all of a sudden you could derail it. I think the best. I'll give you David Carr. David Carr, had he gone to any of the team but the Texans, probably going to be pretty good.
Yeah,
but he was broken because they weren't good around him.
I think another sell that you could make to Quinn coming back, and I think this is probably another reason of why this is the first domino you're starting to see, is they have so much talent on that team, underclass talent, that you could realistically bring back and run it back the first year in the SEC. And I think that if you get your starting quarterback, you get Quinn to say, hey, yeah, I will run that back. That makes it even easier for the other guys to follow suit. Now, I'm sure there's plenty of them that are going to take the money and go into the NFL, and they rightfully so, they should do that. But I think there's a good chance that you could bring back a lot of the nucleus that is on that Texas team this year and run it into the SEC next year and lay the groundwork for the expectations of that program, or what they think could be the expectations going forward and making the transition. And I think that's why you're starting to see the smoke come out about Quinn, because if you get him, that makes Xavier Worthy and Jonathan Brooks, right? Like Jonathan Brooks he had opportunity to come back. Now he's got the injury. He's probably coming back next year.
Yeah, I would say so. I think where they're going to miss is I think Adonai Mitchell and Xavier Worthy and Jatavian Sanders are gone.
Right.
So I think those guys are gone. Jordan Whittington's out of eligibility.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like the fourth target anyway.
But then you also, like, I think, and I know it takes development and everything, but you're going to lose Worthy. I think they're probably looking at a guy like Jonte Cook saying, okay, bet we can lose Worthy, but just plug in Jonte Cook and roll.
Yeah, so I mean there'll be that, but like I think those are the people they're going to lose.
Yeah,
T'Vondre Sweat, they're going to lose T'Vondre Sweat. Like those are guys who are going to be gone. But I think the other part of the conversation is Malik Murphy. This is only bad news unless he really just loves living in Austin, because otherwise it's probably going to end up pretty well for him. Because I doubt that Malik Murphy's the guy who goes in the transfer portal because he couldn't cut it at Texas and winds up at Louisiana Monroe.
No,
he's going to have his choice of places. And you know, I think the Gators will call him for sure. I think that because they've got Lagway coming in, but you don't want to rely on the true freshman to save your job if you're.
I think that's a realistic situation where he could win out like against Graham Mertz.
Yeah,
he could beat
Graham is
Mertz.
Gone after this year anyway. He's a grad transfer, I think. So
is he?
I don't know.
I thought he had a year eligibility. Anyway,
maybe he does. I don't know. It's so hard, but yeah. So like Florida's got to call him. You know, there's big schools that will
North
call
Carolina.
Him. North Carolina, yeah.
Yeah. There's
exactly.
plenty of options out there.
Yeah, there's tons that will have quarterback openings next year.
I mean, he could go back to California. Like, he could go to USC or whatever if he wanted to.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's plenty of options for him. There's going to be numerous teams calling and banging down his door to get him to come be the leader of that program.
Yeah, yeah. And so, yeah, there's plenty of Notre Dame will probably. Yeah. You know, like those people are going to call. Like, he's got an opportunity to go wherever he wants to go. Like, I think It's going to be really interesting to me to see Riley Leonard, like what he decides to do, because he could come out, but he could come back as well.
I think he comes back. I think if he stayed healthy this year, he would have entered the draft. But I think he comes back and has a big season next year and then heads to the draft.
Yeah, but I don't know where that's going to be.
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily at Duke or not.
And if Mike Elko leaves, I don't think he'll necessarily follow Mike Elko, but
no, he could go into another system that would fit him and kind of expand on his skill set.
Like Notre Dame.
Exactly.
I mean, they could just go to their AC3 brethren again.
Right,
and just pluck the guy and be like, oh, we'll W your NIL. They're, boop, boop, here we go. Got
we'll
it.
still play some of the same teams.
They're like a claw machine. They're just
yeah.
That one. We'll take it. So anyway, when we come back, Big 12 chaos is possible this week. If all the home teams win, there could be an 8-way tie. That's not going to happen, but that just shows you how close things are in the Big 12 right now. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks, you've probably been feeling the slowdown. And that's no good for business. A private UPN fiber network can get you and your business moving at the speed of light. Whatever you need, we can build it. Internet, Metro Ethernet, Waves, dark fiber. We deliver custom private networks and are focused on business customers only. Our next generation 100% fiber optic infrastructure offers you low latency and ultra scalable bandwidth with speeds up to 100 gigabit to run your critical applications. Your connection won't be limiting your performance anymore. It's diverse and scalable, so it can grow and change as your business grows and changes. And with a secure carrier-grade private network, you'll have all the reliability you need. Contact UPN today to learn more. Fast just got faster.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
In the last segment, we're going to play a game, Garrett, called Do You Believe Them?
Okay.
And the Do You Believe Them is where we're going to take coaches that have said that they're not talking about other jobs right now.
Right.
And say, do you believe them?
I like this. I like this. It's intriguing.
It's going to be college football's fastest growing game show that's only around for like a month a year.
Right.
So we could do it every week starting about November 10th till December 15th. And maybe not even that long. But we'll play Do You Believe Them?
We need a soundbite for that. We need to get like a
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you believe them? And then like some pa 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 pa.
Yes.
Yes. Do you believe them? We're gonna
what's up with that?
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna play that game called Do You Believe Them? And yeah, that's something we need to do over here on the Vibe one day too. But this week in the Big 12, you have a bunch of teams in a tie for second.
Correct.
And if BYU, West Virginia, TCU, Houston, Tech, Kansas, and Iowa State win, you'll have an 8-way tie for first place.
Absurd.
Yes.
First off.
But there's only one league where you could think that would be possible and go, look, I don't think BYU's beating Oklahoma.
No.
But like I could sell you on West Virginia beating Cincinnati really easy.
Yes.
I can sell you on TCU beating Baylor really easy. I can't as much sell you on Houston beating Oklahoma State, although I don't know what direction is up anymore after that UCF game last week.
Yeah, that was weird. I just don't have that much faith in Houston, though.
No. I could sell you on Tech beating UCF in Lubbock easily. I can sell you on Kansas winning pretty easily.
Kansas?
Against Kansas State at home.
No, I'm not buying that.
Kansas winning at home against Kansas State?
No, especially if Jason Bean's still out.
Okay.
All
right.
No.
Okay. I can sell you easier on Iowa State. Channeling all the juice of Ames into upsetting Texas.
I would lend my ear to that, definitely.
Okay. So, yeah. But this is a league where, I just listed off the 7 games, and 4 of them, I wouldn't have had to sell you that hard.
Correct.
One of them I could sell you on if they had healthy quarterbacks, for sure. And then one of them I would say Houston and Oklahoma State. I don't know.
Yeah, last week wouldn't have happened. That would be a no-brainer.
But I don't know. Like, Oklahoma State lost so bad to UCF.
That's what
in Orlando. Like, it's not that they lost because weird things happen all the time. But like that kind of weird.
That was South Alabama bad.
Yeah, it was.
Like, that's what drives me crazy about Mike Gundy. And I know a lot of people will defend him, and I understand he's a great coach. I'm not denying that. But I have such a problem with the acceptance of mediocrity in Stillwater for Gundy, because there have been so many times where he's gotten him on the precipice of being great or getting to that next level, the championship caliber level, and have just had things that happened like last week in Orlando happen and derail the season. Now, I know there's situations like the plane crash thing and Iowa State and everything, but there's been so many times, dude, where they've been there and they just can't get over the hump, and it's like everybody sits there casually like, okay, we're cool with this.
Yeah.
And that's just not a championship mindset. That's one thing that has always baffled me about that situation.
Yeah. All right, so to me, I was as confused by UCF blowing out Oklahoma State as I was when I found out that Lil Wayne and Skip Bayless are like not only friends, but like best friends.
That's nauseating. But wow.
But look, here's the thing. Lil Wayne is a weird guy.
Yes.
So like I should be less surprised when I hear weird things about him. But I think I was maybe more surprised that I found out that Skip Bayless had a best friend, and then like that piece of information had already fallen, because usually you don't act like an insufferable prick if you have a best friend.
Correct.
And then when I found it was Lil Wayne, I'm like,
that is so odd. Yeah, I don't
like why, like
that's
something I just cannot. I still don't. I don't understand.
You know what? I'm going to tell you something. I learned something today because I did not know that was a thing.
You did not know that?
I did not know that was a thing.
Okay, Jay-Z has an interview with Gayle King coming out.
Okay.
I would be like equally shocked if Jay-Z's like, you know who's a big influence in my life is Senator Lindsey Graham. And you'd be like, what? How?
Yes, okay. Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Like, you know.
God, that's funny. That would be.
If tomorrow Joe Biden would just like walk out and be like, I would like to thank in this really trying time all the great advice I've gotten from MC Hammer. Like those things.
He's got the pants, the parachute
like, pants. What? Really?
Oh.
I don't know. Like it's so weird. And that's how, like when that game was going down, it was like all of a sudden, like UCF had scored so many points. I was like, oh. I mean, I didn't even seen it was raining yet. I hadn't even tuned into it. So when then I flipped over and I saw it was raining. I was like, well, that should still
run the ball.
Run the
RJ
ball.
Harvey went off.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah. And then like their run defense, it was sometimes though, like if you get stepped on so much as a unit, like you can have that moment. You're like, you know what? Not today.
Well, I mean, I've never really
Gordon's been so good. It was like one of those things where they just went into this like psychological safe room and they just like didn't even think about it. But.
Like I didn't realize, and I mean I didn't realize how bad they were. The Pokes have been after Bedlam until the stat came out, like since 1995 or whatever was the last time they won. But I thought you would have a lot of energy there that you left on the field, emotion and all of that. I understand that. But when you're going up against arguably the worst rush defense in the Big 12, I thought Ollie Gordon would have a career day. And the fact that he finished with 25 yards is inexcusable on so many levels that I don't – it's hard to think that that's even real. And it's baffling to me how that game unfolded.
Yeah. I don't know. Like it's so weird. Now, I do think where – the league gets like it probably evens itself out a little bit because I think Kansas State's probably going to beat Kansas.
Yes.
I think Oklahoma's going to win. I think Oklahoma State's going to win.
Yes.
But the one that could be interesting, I think Texas should go in and probably handle Iowa State. But
they play with their food.
It's a night game in Ames, and I don't know if you remember this game, but I do, very specifically because it was DeLoss Dodd's last road game as the AD at Texas.
Okay.
And it's always stuck in my mind. Iowa State stuffed Texas on a goal line stand and ripped the ball out of, I can't remember the running back, ripped the ball out of his hands, and it should have ended the game. And it went to review. It was very clear what happened, and they just didn't overturn. They didn't.
They got the Texas pass.
Texas got their thing. And I've always thought that, DeLoss Dodds had, one trump card left to play, where he just, when they went to the review, he just walked down the hall and opened it, went, no, and shut the door. And then they're like, well, we're going to make this take a second, but we know what we're going to say.
Right.
And so Iowa State lost that game, and I have an Iowa State fan friend who has not stopped talking about that game since it happened. And, I think Iowa State's actually beaten Texas since then.
I'm sure.
But that one sticks in their mind. And this is Texas's last game. I'm going to make a bold statement.
Okay.
I'm going to say after Saturday, the Texas Longhorns and Iowa State Cyclones never play a game against each other again.
Outside of a bowl game?
Even then.
Ooh. I think somehow they end up meeting at the Texas Bowl in the future or something. I don't think Texas schedules any Big 12 team going forward in the regular season.
No.
Period.
No.
I just feel like some weird way they ended up maybe some point in time meeting
only
a bowl
school
game.
I would ever see them from the Big 12, the Big 12 scheduling would be Tech.
Yeah, that would be one of those money, yeah, maybe.
I could see of the old Big 12 teams. And I don't, not the ones I could see them Colorado, because I think TV could get involved in that in the next 4 or 5 years if Deion stays there.
Yeah.
But, I don't see them again branching out back into there. But they won't schedule Iowa State for anything.
No, them Kansas State teams that have shown that they can beat them. Hell no, they're not scheduling them.
They might play Iowa State in a basketball tournament.
Yeah.
One of the November tournaments or in the NCAA tournament. But as far as football goes, it may not happen while we're all alive. Seriously, the circumstances for it to happen may never line up. Right. So this is the last time Iowa State knows for sure that they can get Texas. And that place is going to be revved up, and every mistake that Texas makes is going to be amplified. So I do think there's a chance for that. But I also do think that because of the way that Texas is compared to the way that Iowa State is as far as just a roster, that there's a chance that Texas could jump out 21-0 and not look back.
Yeah, but I don't know if they would not look back. I just don't trust them the way they've letting teams crawl back in games.
Yeah.
I still think they can win this game by at least 10. But I do think that Iowa State finds a way to try to muddy it up. The only thing is, and what separated Texas and what's helped them win so many games this year isn't the skill players, it's the difference in the trenches. And I just don't know that Iowa State can compete. They're not going to be able to run the ball against Texas. And when you take the running game away from them, do you really trust Rocco Beck to throw you to a win? That's where I'm kind of concerned in that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a very valid point, Garrett.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I don't know, but look, again, could be cold. It could be.
That's what I just checked. It's going to be sunny and a high of 58, low of 30. So weather shouldn't be a factor.
7 o'clock at night. It's going to be cold. So
yeah, but I think it's not going to be snowing or rainy or anything like that. My only concern is I'm really interested to see the Jonathan Brooks being gone factor and how Jaden Blue and Cedric Baxter could step up. Now, granted, like I just said, you have that line
I don't
to
even
run behind.
think Jaden Blue's I haven't seen enough from him from being just a primary running back other than that Wildcat to tell you he's going to be different. Baxter's the one I'm curious about the
Right.
most. Like, he's the bell cow
Yes.
for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So, good luck. I mean, it's pretty tough. Iowa State, though, does give up yards on the ground.
Yeah.
So this might be a good first game for him to start in. But yeah, I do, and every ounce of my being wants absolute unmitigated Big 12 chaos, which would happen if everybody, like if Texas loses, then you've got chaos.
Yes.
Like it's chaos. So yeah, I want it so bad because I want to see how it works out. And there's the chance with the head-to-heads where you can have head-to-head wins against the two teams that are ahead of you, but because it's not a true round robin, you could wind up in third.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Because if it's Oklahoma State, because Oklahoma State's got the wins over Kansas State and they got the win over Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. And if you find yourself in a scenario where head-to-heads do not matter, what the hell are we doing playing the game? Like there's got to be a better scenario drawn up. The fact that you're looking at that and saying because Oklahoma and Kansas State wouldn't have played each other, like that should not erase both of them losing head-to-head to Oklahoma State. Like there's got to be some way. That would be up there with Baylor and TCU getting left out of the playoff. It wouldn't be as bad because of the circumstances, but that's up there with that type of failure systematically for the Big 12, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I think next year they'll have a better tiebreaker system, or I hope they do.
Right.
But we'll see. I mean, But
that's the thing. Like you're in a situation now, and it's not just the Big 12. It's every conference going forward where these type of scenarios are more common to happen because of the amount of teams, and especially like the Big 12, like where everybody was playing everybody. If that was the case, still this wouldn't be a topic at all. But I think they're going to have to figure this out because the likelihood of this happening, and especially within the league like the Big 12, where it's going to be essentially open every year, except for I think you make a case for Utah. But, yeah, I think you're going to run into a scenario where you have this situation pop up and you've got to fix it because if head-to-heads don't matter, then that just doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it does not. When we come back, we're going to play a game. Garrett, are you ready? You think you could win money in this game?
You know what? I'm not a bet man, but I'd be willing to put money down.
If I was like for $400, do you believe them?
I think I could.
The only way you can win money, it'd be like a week-to-week thing, and we have 3 contestants, and they bank based on yes, I believe them, no, I don't believe them.
All right, here's the deal. We are gonna do this because I got an LSU Monopoly game at the house. I'm gonna bring in my Monopoly money, and we'll put Monopoly money down and see if you won.
Okay, so. Yes. Do you believe them when they say they're not interested in a coaching job?
Okay.
We're going to start. It's not just going to be A&M. It's going to be
everybody.
The coaching jobs. Like right now, the only denials I've heard are about Michigan State and about A&M.
Correct.
I haven't heard anything about Mississippi State or San Diego State or whatever, but Boise State. I haven't heard anything like that. But we're going to play the first round of Do You Believe Them and why, and we'll do that next. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks, you've probably been feeling the slowdown. And that's no good for business. A private UPN fiber network can get you and your business moving at the speed of light. Whatever you need, we can build it. Internet, Metro Ethernet, Waves, dark fiber. We deliver custom private networks and are focused on business customers only. Our next generation 100% fiber optic infrastructure offers you low latency and ultra scalable bandwidth with speeds up to 100 gigabit to run your critical applications. Your connection won't be limiting your performance anymore. It's diverse and scalable, so it can grow and change as your business grows and changes. And with a secure carrier-grade private network, you'll have all the reliability you need. Contact UPN today to learn more. Fast just got faster.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome back to the low-tech game show here on the Triple Option called Do You Believe 'Em? And the reason we have to have this game show is it's the time of year where coaches deny that they're interested in jobs.
Yes.
Now, an astute Twitter user has found something, and Garrett, I just emailed it to you.
Okay, hang on. Let me get it.
And this will highlight what we're talking about. Now, one of the best coaches in the group of five is Jamie Chadwell, formerly of Coastal Carolina, currently of Liberty, who are 10-0. And look, he's playing mostly with Hugh Freeze's guys and, all of that Hugh Freeze built up there. Liberty pays really well there. They've got a lot of money that they've foisted from people, from televangelism.
Yes.
I'm not backing off that statement.
Yes, it's...
But look, that's not Jamie Chadwell's problem. He's just hired to be the football coach. I think he's an excellent football coach. And if you've watched this show, you know how much I think he should have been a Power 5 coach already.
Correct.
Particularly in the ACC or the SEC, in the region that he is come accustomed to, because he probably knows every high school coach from South Carolina to Miami, or North Carolina, like maybe Virginia to Miami and everywhere in between. He knows all those guys. But when he walks in and says, I'm with Coastal Carolina, they're gonna be like, well, you can talk to these guys.
Yeah,
but
you're not getting them other ones.
But like, there's some guys over here that like appreciate that you're a nice guy and all, and they're going to be super pumped to meet you.
But
you're just going on their Instagram page.
Yes.
Hey, look who I met today, Jamie Chadwell. That's all that you are.
He's a nice guy.
That's all that you are. But if you're in the SEC or the ACC, honestly, no matter where you are, like you can even like Vanderbilt can talk to some of those guys.
Correct.
That Vanderbilt, like, there's nothing stopping Vanderbilt from talking to a five-star player, and if a five-star player will talk to Vanderbilt, whether they go there or not, that's a different thing.
Correct.
But if you're look, Jay Cutler was a pretty highly ranked player, right? If you're Jay Cutler, he wound up going there because he wanted to go to Vanderbilt, but you can walk in the room if you're in the Power 5 and talk to most guys.
Yes.
Now, how long that goes after that depends on where you are in the Power 5 pecking order or that person's thing, but anyway, Jamie Chadwell's got some juice behind him. Liberty's 10-0. He tweeted this today. This is an advertisement, quote tweet for his coach's show. See you there Wednesday. By the way, Mellow Mushroom hosts the Jamie Chadwell coach's show. We know of that. They also host the Gus Malzahn show in Orlando. So Mellow Mushroom is a company big into the coach's show. Also, Mellow Mushroom.
I need to hit that up. I wanted to hit that up.
2 thumbs way up. Love the Mellow Mushroom. And we don't have one here, but if I'm ever in a town that has one, especially if I'm in a hotel and I'm like, well, where am I going to order like pizza near me?
Yeah.
If the Mellow Mushroom is in the delivery radius,
it's
on. Sir, do you need 6 pizzas? They're going in my suitcase. Shut up. But he did this. See you Wednesday. Garrett, where does it say that his location is?
In Starkville, Mississippi.
What else is in Starkville, Mississippi?
Mississippi State.
Oh, so when Jamie Chadwell is asked, are you interested in any other jobs outside of Liberty? And I don't think he would lie about it because now he obviously can't.
Yes.
But if you were Jamie, if we're going to start with Jamie Chadwell, if Jamie Chadwell denies or talks around this, do you believe him?
Hell no.
No, absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not. No.
That's what yesterday we were talking. Like I felt like he's the perfect candidate for that job.
Oh yeah.
And I think honestly, I mean, this just kind of clarifies it. I would not be surprised if he's named their head coach in a couple of weeks, maybe that long.
Yeah.
Would not shock me one bit.
I mean, look, they're playing for a conference title, 10-0, like undefeated. He's going to talk around this. But also, Liberty has to know, and I know their athletic director very well, it's Ian McCall. He's a very intelligent person. Mm-hmm. He knows that he's not able to convince somebody not to go to the SEC.
No.
He knows that.
It'll be twice in a row because you freeze.
And it'll probably be 3 times in a row because, again, nothing's going to change there. They've got a situation at Liberty that, for the group of 5, pays the coach well, all those things will be taken care of, right? So, to the level that they are. But, they lost. If they've got a player who could play at the Power 5, they're going to lose him too.
If he took this job, I would call Malik Murphy in a heartbeat and say, "You want to come be my quarterback in my system?"
Yeah. He's got a really fun offense. Really cool, really fun offense. So, yeah, he would, Now, part of me has always thought that, like, he's the best replacement for Dabo whenever Dabo retires. But, I mean, he can't sit around and wait out Dabo. And, like...
No, but this would be a perfect opportunity to go and prove that you can win against competition and then go take over Clemson. Yeah, that would be ideal.
Wherever. But, I always thought that, like... And, like, my theory on Dabo is that not that he's going to forget how to coach or not, like, he's just going to be tired of all of it.
Right.
Like, the way things have changed, he's a good old days guy. Okay, here is another one for you. And we'll start at the top, Garrett, and move on down.
All right.
Let me read the quote. Dan Lanning says there's zero chance he's leaving Oregon. He's fully committed. He's not motivated by money. Said lots of coaches don't come up to the podium to deny rumors or say they aren't leaving because they are afraid of getting egg on their face. He's not. He's staying. So, Garrett, let's play again. Do you believe him?
I do believe him. I think yesterday I kind of laid out why I believe him. I think it's a perfect situation there in Oregon. Great, easy place to recruit to. You have all the financial backing you could need from Phil Knight. You're also about to get a bump in revenue as you go into the Big Ten. You have the 12-team playoff coming in. I think they have an opportunity where they could, especially with no divisions in the Big Ten, they're regularly going to be a part of the 12-team playoff. And once you get in there, as far as like the ties going back to the SEC and beating all those, you still have that path because you're going to see a lot of SEC teams on your way to the Natty every year. I think he stays. I do believe him staying in Oregon.
Yeah, I question quite often people saying they're not motivated by money, and I do believe that he's not motivated by money. But sometimes, like when
I think there's different. There's different scenarios.
It's different. Okay, so. Let's go to another one. Earlier in the year, Michigan State opens up. There was a rumor that they were interested in Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer, through Bruce Feldman, denied his interest in that job. Mm. So, Urban Meyer, Michigan State. Now, that one's been dormant for a while, but in the interest of keeping this game going, this is an interesting one, Garrett, because Michigan State is a good but not great program.
Correct.
They've won in the CFP one time. They've been to some New Year's Six bowl games, but they're not maybe necessarily an Urban Meyer type program, me not getting into Urban Meyer's moral compass. So, Urban Meyer not interested in Michigan State. Do you believe him?
I don't. I think that there are other options that have came open and will come open that would be better draws for him. I do believe he will coach again. I think that you could draw some parallels between Michigan State, where it's at, and what he was able to do at Utah. Now, while that was a long time ago and he was a lot younger and everything, I could see that working. He obviously knows the area as far as recruiting. He knows the Big Ten, how to win there. I don't believe him saying he's not interested. I think that's somewhere he definitely could end up, but I think there are other options out there that might pique his interest a little more.
Also, I'm going to throw this out there about Urban Meyer. I know that, like, Craig and Smokey were talking about yesterday, like, if A&M hires him, they'll probably win the national title. And look, I don't think it's, like, they're beyond compromising their ethics completely to hire him. But I will warn them on this. He was the fastest coach to terrible in the pros in the history of fast coaches to terrible in the pros.
Okay.
College football now is not exactly like that, but it's more like that. And Urban Meyer is a dictator. That's how he rules, and that's how he wins. He's a dictator.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, while he is a brilliant football coach and knows how to push all the right buttons, I don't know that Urban Meyer's rule with an iron fist stuff works. Because, look, say what you will about Nick Saban, not a dictator.
No.
He's stern. Say what you will about Kirby Smart, not a dictator. They are powerful figures, but the coaches that I think will do well in modern college football are the ones who can toe that line of I'm completely in charge, but I'm also not the least flexible person in the world. We'll call it the Jimbo quotient, right?
Okay.
Like the line of it where I know what I want. I know how I'm going to get, I know places to get there, but I can move in between. It is something that maybe Dave Aranda is too far on the opposite side of that.
Right. Yeah, I'd agree
where
with
maybe
that.
he's been too flexible with that and kind of maybe admitted that to us at times. And then there's guys like Jimbo who are completely inflexible.
Bo
and
Pelini's.
the Bo Pelini's
yeah.
of the world.
Yeah.
But the coaches who are really good right now are the ones who can bend and move, maneuver, and can talk to today's kids really well. Mike Norvell, I think, is doing that. I think Mario Cristobal will be able to do that. I think that, Mac Brown is the best at it. And he's an older coach of, all right, what's working, what's not working? How can I make kids feel loved and respected and welcomed, but also not let them run over me? And I think that if you look at what happened with his ego in Jacksonville, I've won all this stuff. You're the Jacksonville Jaguars. You've never really won anything. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know if that plays well anymore. Now, if you're talking about like a 3 to 4 year hitch of Urban Meyer being somewhere because that's whatever it's going to be.
That's all it would be.
Then yeah. But I also don't think, if A&M only wants one national title and then has to do this all again.
Dude,
then
they would
sure.
sell their soul
Yeah.
for a national title. And that's essentially hiring Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
I think that maybe, and it's hard to say because egotistical, narcissistic people struggle with this, but maybe that's the first time he's been checked.
Yeah.
Like that's the first time somebody has checked Urban Meyer was
Yeah.
Jacksonville. Maybe he that humbled him a little bit enough, but I think he could come in. I think he knows recruiting. You give him NIL money, he can do all that. I kind of look at it as similar to Harbaugh. Like I feel like Harbaugh's got a lot of that too.
Yeah.
If Urban put the right cast around him and said, I'm going to take the CEO role, I'm just going to be the head coach and the recruiting guy. Y'all deal with the day-to-day, deal with the commonplace of the modern athlete. I think he could go and have success.
Oh, look, there's no doubt in my mind that he still, but I do wonder, like, he has one more in him.
Yes.
Before, I think he has one more in him, and if it doesn't happen in the next year or so, it's not going to happen because the hay is out of the barn
Right.
on you being able to be the dictator head coach.
Right.
It's out. And that's what he was. Like, you watch the documentary, he was kind of unabashed about being the dictator, and also the dictator is the guy who, it's everybody else but me. Mm-hmm. Well, it's not my fault that this happened. Yeah, I know it's not your fault that your player did something wrong. But when your player does something wrong and you don't discipline him, and then he does something wrong again, or your assistant coach, then yes, it is your fault.
Yes.
That you can't control them once they're gone, but once if you've not disciplined them, as long as they're in a place where you can do something and you don't, it is your fault.
Right.
So again, you come to me and tell me something happened and I don't discipline them because of whatever. And then it happens again. Yeah, it's my fault.
Correct.
So that's where, I don't know, that's where it's slipping away from him. Where the Jamie Chadwells of the world, those guys are on the up, right?
Yeah.
Those guys who can, you can win and be pleasant. It's not impossible.
Right.
Look, in the NFL, Mike McDaniel, you can win and be a fun person.
Right.
You don't have to be this, we run the ball and that's what we do and we're going to blah, 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 blah.
Is that your Belichick?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're going to, this is my Belichick here. Well, we feel good about our quarterback position. It just hasn't worked out very well so far, but, my faith in his abilities hasn't changed. We're going to
Until he got benched.
we're going to make the decisions that affect our football program in the best way. Okay, I saved the best for last.
All right.
I emailed you this graphic.
Okay, hold up.
The reason I say this is the best for last is this is the one that affects me personally the most and my personal joy and happiness and functionality as an adult in this world.
Give me 1 second.
Okay. But Mike Norvell has popped up on about every list I've seen
Correct.
for Jimbo Fisher replacements. He's a Texas native. You know,
Is he?
Yes, he is.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Okay. Here's your Norvell.
So Mike Norvell, we're so excited about what we're building here. It's a special place, and I think that speaks for itself. Not as emphatic as Dan Lanning, but basically saying he's not leaving FSU.
Correct.
I'm going to recuse myself from Do You Believe Him? Because FSU fans are obviously shell-shocked because the last time a coach came in and left of their own accord was Jimbo Fisher. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Jimbo ever really said, like, towards the end of it, like, there was no, like, I'm not leaving, I'm staying here. It was very obvious what was going on.
Right.
Like, I heard from a great A&M source after the UCLA game that year that they lost and blew, which was the second game of the year, that A&M was going to go after Jimbo Fisher. And then as I watched FSU throughout that year, I was like, oh, this is a guy who's, like, got one foot out the door for sure. But I want to believe Mike Norvell. A lot of things are different. FSU learned a lot from the Jimbo Fisher situation. Mm-hmm. They've got a new athletic director. They're pushing to move to a different conference. They don't need to upset their apple cart right now. They're giving more money to the coach. They're building facilities. They're doing everything. Like, Mike Norvell's getting pretty much everything he wants. They're in a direction in lockstep, president, AD, coach, and booster club, which was not the case with Jimbo Fisher.
Right.
In fact, there was no alignment between any of those four things, like, at all, when Jimbo Fisher left. So, yes, I believe it. And here's the other reason I would tend to believe it is, take my bias for what it will.
It's Florida State. It's a
Florida State is a way better job than A&M.
Yes.
It's proven you can win there. And it's proven that about a third guy is about to get them in national championship contention. Like, whether he wins or not, I don't know. It's hard to do. But they're in the conversation again 3 years into his tenure. 6 years into Jimbo's tenure at a place where they have all the money and everything, they're not even close. But 3 years into Mike Norvell, what's happening? They are 10-0, staring a conference championship in the face. And that's something that never happened under Jimbo. So again, all you'd be doing going to A&M is chasing money.
I don't see him leaving Florida State for A&M. I could see him leaving.
So honestly, let me do the thing. Do you believe him?
I want to believe. I'm like you. Like, I want to believe him. And now hearing how you were talked about the alignment that they have there with the money, my only concern would be there was so much talk about the lack of revenue from being in the ACC. I don't know how much that would carry over into it, but the fact that you're proving that you can win at a blue blood program who can win titles, you are owning the transfer portal. Like, you are getting dogs. Like, the best. Like, I don't think anybody. Lane Kiffin claims to be the portal king. I don't think anybody has handled the portal as well as Mike Norvell. The caliber of player that he's got into Florida State is ridiculous. They literally ate LSU up twice.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I would believe him.
Yeah.
I would believe him.
Yeah. And again, like, they've got a recruiting class coming
That
in the
is
next two. Like,
ridiculous.
It's not just this year, but like the guys they already have lined up for 25 are. I mean, it's rolling through where it's back to how it was. Of, you know, there's a couple of 3-stars, but they're dudes who run 4 threes.
You're also, and the UCF fans are going to get mad. Whatever. You're the best school in Florida. Like, that means something. Right now, you have the best football program in the state of Florida. You can get any kid from there you want.
Yeah.
So, I mean, why leave?
Yeah. Well, that's it. And there might be able to, like, now they're maybe plucking from, like, the stuff that Clemson was getting that they weren't. They're getting now and keeping the border up. Now, Alabama and Georgia are still feasting.
But you're hanging with them.
But you get a guy like Conrad Hussey this year. They got him away from both of them. Charles Lester. Like, that's a guy who was, Bama, and like, you're getting those guys away from him. Yeah. I mean, Cristobal's doing it too now. Like they've got some good recruiting classes, but he's got to get the quarterback straight before we really see anything at Miami. And that's very clear. But yeah, I just think that the evidence is there. Like, that Florida State was not some fluke that Bowden and Fisher and, like, Jimbo Fisher won at Florida State because he was at Florida State and modernized Bobby Bowden's program. That's what he did. And then when he went to A&M, he took everything he learned from Saban and Bowden, except the one thing of adapting to the times, and didn't do anything. Mike Norvell is clearly one of the most adaptable coaches in the world, because he was like, look, I don't care what you say about how should you build teams through the transfer portal. I don't have time to wait.
Exactly.
I don't have time to wait. And he even mentioned in the same press conference of, look, a couple of years ago, they were talking about everybody else that could, am I going to make it? So that's very true. Things change in a hurry. But yeah, he didn't have time to wait. And he wound up in probably the Florida State example is going to be an interesting example of how you turn around a team in modern college football. Because if you step into a place that only cares about football, like I say that, they care about all their sports, but football is the absolute king,
yes,
and drives everything there. They only care about football, and then you start getting what you want to put it online with modern people. That's where Florida's behind them right now. But there are just so many different things that line up. And then you say, well, I'm going to go somewhere else, because no, there's certain places that you just go if you flip the switches in the right order. And he just said yeah, I'm going to go in the transfer portal. And I know that if I can get people here, we're going to show. And Jordan Travis is a huge part of that. If Jordan Travis didn't work out, then maybe they've not got Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson and the guys that they do. But because you had a quarterback that was exciting, and then you went out and got receivers that want to come and play with them, and running backs and all that, it worked.
Yeah.
You were able to go do that. I mean, they've got Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman, Trey Benson, Jordan Travis transferred under the previous regime, so he doesn't count for Mike Norvell. Mike Norvell just kept him but
Jared Verse, on defense?
Jaheim Bell, Braden Fisk. I mean, I can keep going. Yeah. Tatum Bethune. Jones that had the interception to seal the game, Fentrell Cypress, they're all transfers. All of them are Greedy Vance, transfer. All those guys are transfers. So they're all there and ready to go. So I don't think he's going. I think Mike Elko makes sense. I think Jeff Traylor makes sense, especially if they want to get it done before December.
Two people I don't think are leaving their post that you didn't mention, but are in the mix always. I know we're up against it. I don't see Lance Leipold leaving Kansas, and I don't see Kleiman leaving Kansas State.
No,
I don't.
No, There's something about being cultural fits.
Yes.
Although I do think that their Midwesternness would play well in College Station. I just don't know.
There's too much of a headache in A&M. I don't see them leaving their post.
No. Again, you've kind of got more control at those places too right now, because the next guy is either going to have to make sure that he yes, you gave Jimbo this much, give me this much, and I will do better. But even still, there's going to be a tense, watchful eye over that. For sure. All right, that's going to do it for us. Tomorrow, Steven Simcox will join. We're going to talk Baylor and TCU with Steven tomorrow. I'm curious to see his perspective on this and what to make of TCU's late run against Texas, if anything. And then whatever else comes up in college football. And it's been so nice not to talk about Jim Harbaugh and to talk about other disasters in college football, like how much money you pay a guy to not work for you. Ugh. That's going to do it for us. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks, you've